All right, folks, right back at it here this Thursday afternoon, November 11th, shortly after 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And of course, this time of the day, welcome on back for our afternoon meeting. Great to see Leda. I know that we had Brian, we have Michael joining us still, all of our students live inside Cyber Group. And again, if you're joining us on social media, once again, Facebook Live or YouTube, welcome on back. So, quick repeat here. Allow me just once again to say Happy Veterans Day. If you weren't, watching the morning meeting, just hey, I appreciate anyone that has served our beautiful country. So happy Veterans Day to all. And, hey, again, for anyone that has family members out there, I thank them as well. So, with that in mind, OCGN right now, hey, it's actually shaking back down pretty nastily. But Rich posted the news inside Cyber Group a moment ago. It's pretty interesting news. I'll copy and paste for all of us on YouTube and Facebook Live right now. Just give me a second. But OCGN, Ocugen shares, Ocugen issues statement regarding the publication of Covaxin phase 3 study results in the Lancet. I don't know anything more than that, really, as far as what the news involves regarding their phase 3 study results. But, it seems like a great reaction thus far from the market, although it's pulling back down right now. Hey, maybe this is just the small pullback for a huge slingshot later on going into the next, 90 or so minutes. So, great call from Rich and Leda inside Cyber Group right before we started this meeting, and we'll definitely put this on our main list. All right, but I'll tell you, this is like a nice treat for us right now because we actually do have a couple of other stocks that are moving up pretty nicely, or perhaps had moved down pretty nicely and may continue to drop. So let's go across some of the stocks that we ended up trading, from the market open. Although not every stock from our morning watch list ended up hitting, we actually did pretty nicely on a few of them. The PPSI stock to begin. This was really, the biggest runner that we had across the morning, at least the market open. Ended up making the slingshot right from $8. I went over that with one of our students in a coaching session earlier. They were trying to follow the stock in pre-market, and they normally do pretty good. They let one get ahead of them. They were down a little bit, and they're wondering like, oh, if I ended up just kind of like holding on, or if I ended up just trying to like take the better entry in pre-market. No, just give it a little time, give it a little space. First 3 to 5 minutes, we're normally not trading, but, at least after the market opened up, this broke under 8, broke right back above 8. And from there, that was the whole catalyst to this whole run here. So the PPSI trade ended up running beautifully just over 2 points. What goes up comes back down. All right. So, unless if this makes some second wind type of move, which we normally don't tend to trade at this point heading into the afternoon, I'm going to pass. But again, it was a great stock from earlier this morning. It was a great stock back from Monday this week. And for that reason, we'll keep it on our side list, at least going into next. All right. How about News? N-U-Z-E, not news as in news, but Newsy, I guess, the company, N-U-Z-E. I don't know if it's a new IPO or what. I didn't even check the news on this trade. I kind of just turned over to it as Rich was calling it out going into the mid to late morning, and it was getting halted over and over. So, I knew at this, actually, how about this? I thought at this point that, we would happen to see it begin to pull back. We would happen to see it begin to reverse or go the other way, maybe even halt on the way down. We've never really seen the stock trade before. So it is to say this thing ended up building up very nicely. It ended up basically going from like 350 all the way up towards 750, doubled up in size practically. And, from that point now we're getting our big drop. So the volume waned down, and that took, about like an hour and a half really for that to happen. But over time, if it's not going to break higher, we know the deal. So this thing just all the way back down now. I mean, again, perhaps is it possible for it to make some sort of second wind type of move where it makes like, a 50-cent bounce, 70-cent bounce? Maybe, yeah. But, I want to go through some of the others first, at least once we go from top to bottom officially. And we'll come back to this if we need to at the end. Newsy. All right. What else did we have here? We had Newsy, we had PPSI, obviously OCGN I wanted to start with. How about the EVGO stock? EVGO wasn't on the morning watch list. I didn't put it on there, but I'll tell you what, I kind of kicked myself for not doing that. We didn't really even talk about this stock as much in the morning meeting, but it was to say at least this was on our side list. And as soon as the market opened up, we were calling the stock out. We were following it at least. So, it took a little while to get the gears going, but it made a big breakout, broke over 16. From there, instantly took off to 17 and really just played the whole number levels pretty nicely. Held 17 as support, moved up to 18, held 18 as support over time and moved up. So, not just the whole numbers, but 50-cent increments basically for this stock. Hey, it's at the highs right now, so it'd be hard for us to not put this on our list. So yeah, EVGO now at this point we'll put on the main list, but of course we are all over this, upon the market opening up. All right, so we had the EVGO trade. Last one I wanted to go over quick. I know we got one of us calling out on YouTube. The Mark stock. We'll get to that, perhaps in a moment. But RIDE, RIDE. Hey, this one again took a while to get the squeeze up, but ended up making a nice drop at first for a short. You could have taken advantage of that, and then from there, we were more so waiting for the big slingshot rather from 6. It didn't break under and over from 6 as much as I would wanted it to, but you could tell with higher lows if it's gonna make a move up to resistance, if it's going to keep testing resistance and not breaking down, not tanking from it, well, over time, you'd like to think it's just going to break above that resistance and fly. So that's what happened at 650. The opening bell print on this trade was at 645 or 646. And really, once it broke that and then 650, smooth sailing. So this was actually a really nice trade for us going into like the really early parts of the afternoon. It still is shortable, so if it's not going to continue to move up and squeeze up, then perhaps that could be the opportunity to trade going into the close. Again, I'll come back to it if I need to. Side list stock for right now, RIDE. All right, before it's too late, let me get to Mark from Mitch Connor joining us on YouTube today. Hey, Mitch, I don't know about this, man. It's up 6%. It just made a little volume spike, but don't get ahead of yourself on this trade, Mitch. This thing is pretty slow. All right, give me a quick sec, folks, here. Otherwise, we'll go right from top to bottom here. So let's do it. We got some warrants at the top, the SOFI warrants, EVGO warrants at the top. We're normally not trading them. They're normally a lot thinner in terms of volume on the order book. So we'll kind of skip over those for now. We'll go to the SOFI trade at least if we need to as we go down the list. But Root, man, number 4 on the gainers list right now. This actually is a familiar name. It's not as if we trade the stock every day, every week. But, recently over the last few months, we've seen the stock on the gainers list. We've seen it on the losers list. So, it's been relatively active. So with that in mind, hey, a nice big breakout off the high of the day, seemingly off 585. Maybe that's like a 590. And then it took off. For right now, pulling back down, but I actually like this more as the tradable stock compared to the RIDE trade, RIDE, if we're kind of comparing one over the other. So I'll put Root on our list here. I like this trade. Let's see what else we got here. EGLX, I guess you could still say relatively tradable, but a little bit slower. Pass on that. Fossil, at least the liquidity filled in, much unlike it was from pre-market. But yeah, we didn't really focus on this nearly as much when the market did open up. It made a pop up from like 18 up to 20, pulled back. I don't know. Don't really need to follow that one as of right now. Not really too strong, it seems like. BW, this one seems strong in relation to its trend, much closer to its highs than it is certainly to its lows of the day so far. Just albeit aside from the pullback, it was right there. I don't know. Again, I saw this pop up on Benzinga Pro earlier in the afternoon. I turned over to it, but it was so slow. So, granted, it's having a good day, but can we speak about the EVGO trade? I appreciate it. So we did already on that, but I will come back to it. And nonetheless, here we are. Actually, I was reading our YouTube chat as I simultaneously clicked, so pretty funny timing there, IK. So for right now, EVGO, just to go back to this once more, 50-cent levels and whole numbers is what I would look to follow in terms of the increments in which it's trading, which means 1950 is a pretty big level coming up here. It had a couple of false breaks over it here just a moment ago, so just check to see. The more false breaks it makes, you'd like to think if it's not going to tank from that price, it's eventually going to make its big pop. So that's where I say here, we'll draw the line at 1950. You could see it's been pretty clean. One false breakout so far, otherwise been holding under 1950 exceptionally well. Your next major level above that, guaranteed, 20. Stock's not breaking all-time highs, by the way. I don't know if you may have thought that just based off looking at like the zoomed-in daily chart. Looks like it could have been, but back from here, 2021, and then otherwise also, you got to go back a number of years. I think from 2017 even. Just check this right now. All right. Guess maybe I'm thinking different stock. Either way, all-time high is back up here, back from the beginning of this year, so still pretty far off from there. BW, we talked about that already. And a follow-up from IK says, appreciated, just a new trader here. Well, no problem, IK, welcome aboard. And I'll tell you what, if you're interested in joining us in our trading room, I'll just get ahead of it now. Go right down to the link on the banner below to sign up for like a small 7-day trial. If you're not ready to do that just yet, feel more than free to send over a quick email, any questions that you have on our call outs, on what we do here on these streams. Please let me know. Send over it right to my email, posted it right there in the stream. All right, so we keep it going. Let's see what else we got here for the meantime. EVGO definitely definitely the best looking stock so far. Super League stock, SLGG. This one's kind of a familiar name too, just right now kind of spotty afternoon here so far. GOTU, we'll take a look at this. We saw this from the mid to late morning. I called this out when we were finishing up the audio commentary. Unfortunately, it completely stalled out from there. That's pretty much when the volume was beginning to die off, and well, from that point ended up beginning to pull back a bit. So I don't know, not really too particular about this one either. QS, QuantumScape, back on the gainers list. Kind of range bound. $39 stock. I mean, I'm following Riot, which is also a $39 stock. That has a little bit more direction to it so far this afternoon. I was going to get to that at the very end. We'll talk about the crypto stocks after we finish up with Bitcoin. Riot's up 8.5%, so it's not like within the top 50 here. We'll come to it when we need to. Otherwise, just checking out the bottom of the gainers list here, checking out some other familiar names like CENX. What else did we have here? I thought we had one more. Oh, you know what? We had the BKKT trade that Leda had called out a moment ago. I just saw the warrants. That's it. So BKKT, I guess this one's not up as much percentage-wise either, but definitely making a hell of a move for the afternoon thus far. So it would be hard for me to not put this one on our main list. BKKT, we're pretty familiar with the trade. Ended up trading the stock when it popped going into the end of October from 10 up to like 40. And it continued going up, but just within that two-day series, we ended up seeing it make that move. All right, there we go from Buster. You got some of the GOTU trade today, he says on YouTube. There we go. Nice. All right, so let's just jump over to the losers list here in the meantime, folks. As I take a quick water break. All right, so the PSFE. Now, this one, for as much as it dropped, we were at least interested in this trade for the afternoon. It ended up, just continuing after the market opened up. Fantastic short opportunity as it broke below 550. It made a nice break below 5, and really from that point, it held it as resistance, and from there just dropped. Opening bell print this morning was exactly at 5. So I'll tell you what, if it's not going to break lower, then perhaps we can get a squeeze up. If this is a false move up and this snaps back down pretty nastily, then it wouldn't shock me if we happen to see this drop more. It was at all-time lows this morning. So yeah, definitely the PSFE, I don't mind slipping on our list still for the afternoon. It's a great trade. All right, kind of just skim through the losers list here, because normally you have a bunch of crap that's hard to borrow, and if they're not really shortable, and if they're not down as much as that was, at least I wouldn't be as jumpy for a dead cat bounce. So checking in on PCT, 4.5 for just about 5 million shares, shortable, dropping down pretty nicely right now. It's tradable, right? So, it's like saying a 19 or for a stock to be up 19% and getting closer to the highs. It would be hard for me to not put that on our list. Same rules apply here for the lows. So yeah, why not? All right, quick little inside joke for all of us live inside Cyber Group right now. We were joking around yesterday when I jumped back on the microphone talking about my leaf blower guy behind me. Yeah, you can't hear him, but trust me, I can. I guess he had to miss some from yesterday. All right, so we keep it going otherwise, aside from that little nuisance. Triple D here, pretty flat. Wendy and Brian getting a kick out of that there. Yeah, he's back, Wendy. Hopefully not for long. All right, I think that just about wraps it up there, folks. There's not much really on the loser's side that looks like a familiar name. Markets are really range bound, so I'll tell you, there's not a whole lot out there that's catching my eyes otherwise. So we'll jump right to Bitcoin. We'll do a little crypto, and then from there we'll wrap it up if there's anything else in between. So I'll tell you, folks, I've never had as much anxiety in a position that I've had in my life with Bitcoin, because to tell you the bare truth, without going into the juicier details behind it. But over the last 7 days, I haven't made more money in my life and lost more money in my life than I have here. So, it's to say all is well now, but holy smokes, to see this drop off practically as soon, I mean, it was dropping off when we were beginning the meeting, but I told you folks at the time that I did not believe that Bitcoin would end up dropping back down to my red line that I kind of, remade here, but it's at 63,700. Well, hey, it's just to say, as soon as the markets closed, this thing just kept dropping, and much faster too. It completely crashed all the way down under that line, and much like a stock would that we would trade inside Cybergroup. I mean, hey, for Wendy and Brian, Michael, if you folks don't, well, Brian I know is in crypto, but hey, for anyone that does not buy Bitcoin, all that, no sweat, no sweat. But it's just to say this, pretty interesting. For that to be such a big resistance level that we've been talking about for how long now? Granted, these levels are not going to hold flawlessly and perfectly on every instance. This, right around 63.7 was a pretty damn big level, and it was like previous all-time high resistance. So, it's just to say, at least for right now, this stock ended up making a pretty big burst out above that price, over the last week. And with that, well, it dropped down. It broke under it, but it pulled right back above it. Look just on the hourly chart here after this big red bar. The very next one, the low, 63.8. Are you kidding me? Within a 100-point degree, we're talking about a $63,000, symbol, crypto stock, whatever the hell it is. It's 63,000 to be 100 points off. It's like being a penny off. That's insane. So, it's to say right now, I still feel like we're in a really good standing. Obviously, that crash I wasn't expecting at all, let alone, 2 hours after I finished up this meeting yesterday. So, it goes to show that the only thing for sure is that nothing is for sure in this game, right? So, that's where right now, at least on the hourly, we're picking back up over the 200 EMA. We're shaking around between the 1 and 200. I've never really shown the 1 minute chart because I really don't follow it unless if I'm following some Bitcoin stocks. So we'll go to those in a minute. But, myself and Brian, we were talking about this going into the early afternoon saying, hey, looking at this move down, and I was calling it out right here. I was saying, Brian, hey, I think that we're getting our pop back up soon on Bitcoin. Just, I had good reason to believe it. We were making higher lows on the 1 minute. Now, pretty interesting here. This is the cool part. I'm playing around with EMAs, just totally playing around, futzing around with EMAs. So pretty interesting on the 1 minute chart. I got the 1500 EMA up. Just that. I mean, you would like to think that should be a pretty, strong, price point level either way, and certainly on a 1 minute chart, more so than even like a 2 or 500. But yeah, for right now, it's still just range bound. And once we get above this, I feel like we'll be in a much better standing. That might be later tonight, might be by Sunday. We'll see. But I still feel like we're still in good standings here, although we had that giant ass kicking going into the market close yesterday. So, we've recovered a little bit. We're holding over our line still. All is well. All is well. I did not buy more, unfortunately. I have too much vested right now, way too much vested. So that's why I said my anxiety levels were at an all-time high last night. All right, so with that in mind, I've been in Riot since 39. I was looking for a bounce. I was calling for the bounce. I got it. So I'm still long on Riot from $39 for Brian and all of us inside Cybergroup. I've been mentioning that. So I've been trying to get out actually at like a $39.90 or so. It actually fell 10 cents shy of that. Normally, these crypto stocks don't break higher heading into the close. So that's the real thing that's kind of making me more reluctant from putting more spotlight on this. And with that, hell, I may even just get the hell out right now, because we were talking about this just yesterday, actually, in this meeting, right? Although I was wrong about the severity of the crash that we actually endured, at least from yesterday afternoon, from 2:30, we had the bounce back up before it crashed, right? That's exactly the move that I was looking for, because these stocks rarely end up continuing in their direction. So that's why yesterday I was more keen to put Riot on our main list. I just got out, by the way, on this trade. I got out on the bid at 56. So, for right now, if it's not going to break higher, if it's not going to fill me where I wanted it to, may as well get out. All right, from Buster on YouTube, he says, UNRV earnings are coming up Monday. Hard to say what will happen before and after earnings. Yeah, so that's the thing, though. We're not really swing trading as much here. The only stock I'm swing trading right now, and really, I barely swing trade at all. As stocks, that is. Crypto, obviously, different story. But BTBT, I'm still in on that from 11:15. But if UNRV shows a lot of activity early in the morning pre-market on Monday, Buster, when Fausto takes his rightful seat back here in the throne, he'll be good to go, and he'll likely put that on our list if that has enough activity to catch our eye. All right. Well, I'll tell you what. I'll go right back to that UNRV because you know what? If I see two separate people make mention of it, I'll at least check it out. Oh, Leda just said PI. Oh, it's a pink sheet stock. Oh, that's what she meant. Okay, Leda, I'm sorry. I'm reading quick, so I thought that you had called this out again on top. So I was like, let me check it out. No, she's making reference that it's an OTC stock on top. So there you go. That's one thing I didn't realize by not looking at this trade, Leda. So thank you. Yes, this is an OTC stock either way. So we're not really trading OTC stocks here. All right. I think that just about does it, folks. There's not much else that I see out there that looks that great. So, you know what? If there is anything else that makes a big move, I'm sure we'll call it out in due time or in the next 15 or so minutes. Look at Riot Drop. I'm happy I got the hell out and listen to my own advice there. But otherwise, for all of us on YouTube and Facebook Live, I'll catch back with you folks come tomorrow morning. And then otherwise, if you have any last questions, feel more than free to send over a quick email, as I had made mention before. I'll post my email address one more time here in the chat board. All right, for all of us on for all of us inside the Cyber Group room, I'll be back on at 3:30 in the afternoon coming up. Talk to you soon.